projects come under this umbrella of unschooled heuristic study. So first of all, let's just talk about the name quickly. So unschooled, not all of the people in this project are unschooled. In fact, very few of them are actually whole life radical unschoolers. The reason that I chose unschooled is because I eventually want to make the project into a series of books, and I needed to have a title that it didn't matter whether you were a home educating parent, you were a teacher, you were a member of parliament, you had a kid in school, that you would look at the title of this book and you would know roughly what it was going to be about. So I kind of don't really class unschooled as the titles for them. It's more of kind of like the, bylines for them that are the titles for me. So heuristic. So the first thing that I have to kind of talk about is, what does this word mean? Because it's not a popular word. Most people haven't heard it before. So heuristic means, as it says on the screen, enabling a person to discover or learn something for themselves. When I started the project, it was about the children and what they were learning or how they were learning. It then moved on to being about parents and how kind of that deschooling process that we go through ourselves. And then it moved on to being about the media and MPs and people working with or around home education, or just education in general, really. So that is what the term heuristic means. Unschooled, heuristic outcomes, res ipsa loquitur. So what is res ipsa loquitur? So it's a Latin phrase that means the thing speaks for itself, which it's obvious why I used it. I knew from the start that this was going to be for the media and for government. And so I wanted to have something that I could use that made my intentions very clear. Well, kind of clear. It's in Latin, I suppose it's not that clear. It was clear to me anyway. What I really liked about this, this phrase was that it's used in court. It's a legal term. It's basically where something is so obviously negligent that you can't argue that it isn't. And what I really liked about it was that it was this connection to that as home educating parents, we are assumed to have done something wrong or to have been negligent in some way without there being any kind of investigation into it or look at it or listening to the facts or anything like that. But one of the people that's in the project is actually training to be a barrister, and I checked with her about it and I was like, I want to use it, but I want to make sure that it can be used for the opposite thing as well. So could it be used to say that something is so obviously not negligent that the thing speaks for itself? And she said, yeah, absolutely, it can definitely be used for that. It never really is in court because you would never have a need to do that. But yes, essentially, it could be used for either of those things. So I pulled my car over while I was listening to this audiobook to write this down because I wanted to use it. And I thought it was the most serendipitous moment ever when I started the car back up, pulled out, pressed play on the audiobook, and the next sentence said that that during the pandemic, when they were, it was in the papers, they were talking about funding Latin in state schools. And they were doing a press conference, and one of the journalists stood up and said to Boris Johnson, how on earth can you think about funding Latin in state schools when you can't even fund SEN provision in it? And his reply was, res ipsa loquitur, the thing speaks for itself. So there was this multifaceted reasoning for me using this phrase, basically.